I really don't want to miss this opportunity for your awesome presentation.
Thanks. Okay, so welcome to the third general body meeting for the data science at USF student organization. And before we kind of delve into exploratory data analysis, we start talking about these methods. Just some housekeeping. So something that we're going to start doing from next week is that we're going to begin quote unquote office hours. So the officers are going to make themselves available a period of time during the week that's not set in stone yet. But basically, these are the technical leads of our organization. In other words, they have the most technical experience from the officer group, and we're making ourselves available to deal with the Mars competition, to deal with these questions that are coming up, which I'm sure as we get deeper with the data set, these questions will arise. If you feel that you have experience and you want to volunteer and you want to be one of these people who help others, and you're not necessarily an officer, feel free to message us. I just thought that I should just mention that if you feel that that's something that you would want to do, and then you would be helping out the organization at large. Tatiana, can you talk a little about the Discord, how we're doing that through Discord?
Right, at least for the office hours, we'll send like an announcement every week for each for the availability of the officer that's gonna like just be open during a window of time to chat and help through any technical questions you have. If you're interested in volunteering for that, or let me know. And also as well, when you go on Discord, you'll find that we have the teams, new team set up for the competition. And so each team's gonna have like an individual channel for them to chat and plan or just keep up track with each other when they're doing the meeting.
Right, thank you, Tatiana. And as a reminder, the big project that we're working on this semester is the Mission to Mars hackathon. So if you want to participate through USF and you are not on a team yet, let Zoe know. Is Zoe on the? Yeah, she's there. Let Zoe know. Just send her a direct message. But we're announcing teams today, and in fact, over the next few weeks, I hope that we'll be spurring much more participation from the general body members, including those who are on the teams and the officers as well, who are also part of teams that they elected to. So there's going to be more involvement, and we're actually going to be getting our hands dirty with the data set. I really want to stress that. Zoe?
Hey everyone, I already sent a message through Canvas and through Discord, so you guys already might have seen this before, but just a heads up, I have created the teams posted on Canvas, so there you can just put like discussions with your fellow teammates. I don't have everyone's email, so some of the groups are incomplete, so if I do have you on Discord and you aren't on the Canvas page, or if you're on this call right now, I don't have your email, just send it over to me just so I can add you to your teams. Shown right there is all the teams that we have. If you don't like your team, or if you said, oh, you know what, I don't really want to do that role, please let me know and I can change it for you since we have full teams. I feel like the teams are pretty balanced out, but if you have any concerns, please let me know. And following this call, I created a discussion post where you guys can just send a message of like what you thought about today's call, or some interesting skills you learned, or just anything you like really was like, wow, let me talk about that further, or maybe I should research that more. Just let us know in the discussion post. So then again, if you don't have a discussion page, please send me your email so I can add you to that. But yeah, that's pretty much just my announcement. And then following this, so not next week, but the week after that, we're gonna have one of our teams, so one of the 7, that's going to present some of their findings. We're not expecting, dashboard, full on ETL process, like your data is all clean, you have it in all these models. We're not really expecting that. We just want to see, like, hey, like, did you guys try to like dig into the data? Did you like try cleaning it? Anything unusual you found? And then any tips for other teams? Or like any resources that you guys found to be helpful for your team. So we're just gonna ask you to share like a quick, it'll be like 10 minutes maybe, or a little bit less. Just tell us like your findings, and you can share that with all of us. And yeah, this is not like, we're not putting pressure on you. Like, if you are really confused about it, you can always come to the office hours we're gonna create. But if you can't really make it to those, we just want to see that you guys are putting the effort in, and that's why we're doing this. We're not doing this because we want this to be like a class, and we're like, oh my god, you have to know all of this stuff. We just want to see that like you guys are getting involved, and at least the team coordination is working. So this is what pretty much it is.
Thank you, Zoe. With that being said, as we approach January, which is when the competition is due, I do anticipate that the kind of relaxed approach that we've been using to talk about the data set, I think that our cadence will get a little bit shorter in terms of the things that we're aspiring to deliver. And Samrat and Armando are gonna discuss that in a bit. But I do want to emphasize that this the data science problem will be interesting. What we're trying to do. So because it's a unique problem, that's why as we approach the end of the semester, January. Well, January is after the semester, but as we approach that time, this will become much more driven by the members than it is by us, at least towards the end. Right now, in the beginning, we kind of have to give examples, but that's expected. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about exploratory data analysis. What is it? What do we use it for? And why is it important? Well, exploratory data analysis is not, this visualization here kind of makes it seem like a section of a larger process, but honestly, it's embedded in all of these sections in the data science lifecycle. And it's practically, I would say that it's like 80% of the work that's done when you actually have a data set. Now I can go ahead and kind of talk endlessly about how one would do this, but I thought I would just show you an example that I've done for IT, which is where I'm employed at right now. So that's the wrong screen. Sorry about that. This one. Okay, so typically when data scientists are trying to design a data product, or what they're essentially working on is, especially in the beginning, is the exploratory aspect of this. Now, it's not necessarily important for us to kind of delve into what necessarily this data frame is about, but basically what we're doing is that we're looking at the amount of time it takes to complete a project, and this was an internal IT investigation that I've been working on along with my colleague Armando, who's also on the call. But as you can see, a large majority of this is kind of being able to look at the data through the statistical lens, right? Okay, what here it's story points, right? Well, what is a story point? What does the distribution for that look like? What does that mean for the stakeholders of this data who want to extract value from this data set, which is sitting on whatever computer that they're using? And then I created some scatter plots here, and at the end of the day, what this markdown file ended up turning into was a model being fit by each of these developers to kind of gauge how quickly they tend to tackle issues in projects in IT. So I want to stress that part of that is kind of, there is a little bit of a substantial programming perspective to this, right? There are for loops, there are maps here. And the end product of this exploratory analysis is a model fit by each developer. And the important thing here is the fact that there is an estimate for the slope of this line, basically, by each developer. And this is what this table is producing, along with all the other model results that we're getting from this. This is a very brief introduction, but it is I think a good example of what this exploratory data analysis is for. It's for us to kind of get our hands dirty with the data beyond it being just some kind of flat file that sits on your computer. What is it? This is really the phase where you ask yourself, what value can I get from this data that I'm working on? So with that being said, I believe we're going to go ahead and try to introduce these ideas with the data set that we're working on for the competition. So I'll pass it to Armando, and he'll do a recap of.
Hello, guys. Before I start, can you raise your hands if you were able to install Splunk in your system? Nice. Okay, I see some hands. Of the ones that installed it, were you able to run the sample query? All right, no worries if you couldn't. I'm going to try to troubleshoot with you guys and see what happened in there to try and help you. So let me share my screen first of all. I'll go over the workshop material, the deliverable material, so you can guys be on the same page regarding that. So there are some requirements for that extraction, and I honestly I think that the biggest takeaway of Splunk in this context of today's meeting is that we can actually do some analysis and exploration in Splunk without having to actually write code or do programming. So that's really powerful. I'll show you how to do that. So let's start. So make sure you install Splunk from the official page. There are plenty of add-ons required to run the dataset. So I'll go over them real quick. Yes, it's all these requirements. If you don't install all of them, you might not be able to run the query. So just make sure you install them before trying to do so. And conveniently, we have this available for you. I actually downloaded all the add-ons, and you can actually just import them in Splunk, straight from Splunk. So if, for example, if I wanted to add a specific add-on, we go to apps, install app from file, and you can just select the TGZ file from here. Or if it's a zip as well, you can do that as well. And once you install the add-ons, you might want to go to again the bots dataset page, download the actual dataset, and follow these instructions in the to unzip it in the proper file. So when I say Splunk home, that was where you install Splunk. It's normally on program files /Splunk. If not, I would suggest you just like, for example, if I go to Splunk Enterprise and open the file location, I will be able to see where I installed it. So figure out where you have that installed, and make sure you add up the data set that way. Otherwise, you won't be able to run the queries. But all of this is worth it at the end of the day when you're able to run these queries. So I'll go ahead and check my install. Try and see if we made it right. So we go into, let me try to zoom this a little bit more. Search and reporting. And I can straight up copy and paste the query here.
Sorry, Armando, I think Eamon has a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, Armando, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No worries.
Where can I find this PowerPoint?
I believe we uploaded it in the
Canvas?
not in the Canvas, in the Discord, and I believe Anders also sent an email
Okay, thank you.
with it. We can send it again if you want.
Okay, I'll let you know if I can't find it.
So once I copy paste this here, it's basically using bots v3 the dataset as the index, and the source type is going to be the AWS CloudTrail, which is the AWS service to record the logs, the security logs for the environment. And I'm grabbing the user type as well. I am user, don't get too caught up on the details, but it's just the user in Amazon system in AWS. And what I do here is I just select the usernames that are, I just aggregate on the usernames, right? So I also gotta make sure that I select all time, because by default Splunk selects 24 hours. We don't want that. So I'll run all time to see that. Then the question was, this answers the question that we asked AWS. So which users have been accessing our environment in the time period? And we can actually visualize this straight away from Splunk, which goes to say that Splunk is a great start to start exploring the data. And if you actually wanted to see all the logs, you can just run this by itself, no aggregation, no statistics summary, and you can actually go ahead and see everything here. Now, let's go to the next one. So there was a bit of a trick question, but I wanted to let you guys figure out how to pull the processor number using the web servers, and for that we have a different source type. We actually need to pull up the hardware source type, and when we run it, we can see that the CPU type is right here. So actually, if you wanted to see the CPU type itself, you can just type right here, and that should probably give you the CPU type, or not. Let's try no caps on this space right here. Sorry, some technical issues. there we go. We see there's a we just get the summary statistics for this CPU type, which is 100% of all the requests. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll take that as no. And here, this was a question that actually was aimed more towards researching AWS. And if you actually go through the documentation for the AWS API, you'll find out that the answer for this is the user identity session context attributes. So I'll go ahead and run the previous query so you know what I'm talking about. And get rid of this. So I'm looking for user identity, context attributes, MFA authenticated. And we can see that if a value were to be, if somebody were not to be authenticated, this would raise the value of false. Which means that we don't have, since this is the 100% of the data, so you can see here, I'm gonna try to click it again. 100% of the data has it set to false. So that means there's no multiple factor authentication, authentication set up for our environment, which is a security concern. So of course, this is a descriptive. We didn't have to write a single line of code apart from the query to decipher that. Hey, you should probably set up the multi-factor authentication in the environment to improve security. So that's one actionable improvement we can offer without going too deep into the data analysis and data science part of it. And the last but not least, export all the events from the users that log into our AWS environment and save the results to a CSV file. So for that, we just pipe it into a command called output CSV. And you just type the name of the file. It could be anything. I'll just name it dataset sample CSV and run it. And that would actually store it in the Splunk home directory. And you'll be able to see all this data. Any questions so far? All right. We're not gonna have the chance to go over the specific data transfer exploration of this specific data set, but I will say two things. So I like to use Google Colab for many reasons. The first of all being you don't have to worry about virtualization, setting up a virtual environment to import any dependencies or libraries for each one of your projects. You can just import it right away. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll send that dataset file so you can do begin your exploration. Since this is not strictly there is not much quantitative data, I would not focus too much on plotting or graphs as of now. I would focus more on summarizing. So you can go through the pandas explorer. So my recommendation is you go through the pandas documentation and actually do the summary statistics by grouping and summarizing that. Now, you can also use NumPy and Matplotlib. Matplotlib and Seaborn are visualization tools, and NumPy will help you with the arrays within the data. And if you want to work on Google Colab, you need to import a file before you actually, since this is not in your computer, you need to import the file in a special way. So you'll have to import this library, Google Colab files, and upload it that way. So if I run this, you'll notice that it will prompt me for a file to upload. I can upload the dataset there, and right away load it to a variable. You can get some info on that. Since this is a pretty big data set, it's not giving me all the columns. There's, as you can see, there's 309 entries, so it's summarizing it. So this info function, what it normally do is give us a breakdown of each one of the columns and the data type for each one of them, kind of like structure in R. But as you can see, it's being compressed and summarized right now because we have a lot of data. So on a recommendation I would like to point out to you is that, hey, take a look at this, at the data in Splunk before you actually attempt any of this, and try to see which columns are more relevant than others. So for example, what was the one? Error code. So a big one right now would be to categorize error code. And you can see the breakdown right here. Most of them are successes. You might want to see the event source, where they actually access the environment from things as messages. It's kind of similar to the error code. There's some for the IP address. So there's plenty of columns here. I would actually only select the few that you actually are interested in for the first part of the exploration. And, oh, sorry. Any questions so far?
Hey, Armando. I had one question regarding, and this isn't regarding the things you spoke about. It's more about setting up Splunk. Is that okay to ask now, or should I wait till later?
Oh yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So I have all of the external packages downloaded, except the last one, which is SA-SIM validator or CIM validator. It seems like it's linking to a GitHub page rather than the actual app. Do I just download that and then Tarzi it and then install it, or is there a way to do it?
So I believe they so you probably downloaded a zip file, right?
What's that?
You probably downloaded a zip file from that website, from the repository.
Yeah, if I clone the repository, I think it's a zip file when you download it.
Yes. So you can actually import that zip using the same process.
Gotcha. So it can be zip or Tarzi. Perfect. Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah. Any other questions?
Hey Armando, this is Samrat. I have one question.
Yep.
Can you show me the query query out? Yeah, this page, the screen right now. So it among these results, which column or which attribute do you think like we should focus to identify the threat, like unauthorized access or something? Because yeah,
I will start by what Professor Clinton recommended. He actually went through the error code to start with. Later on, he actually compared some patterns with the MITRE attack framework and the IBM X-Force exchange, and actually a database from ReliaQuest. But right now, it's focused on the error code, source IP address. So like focus on the where, what, how, and when. right? So where is it coming from? The source IP address. So it should be here. Yeah, so source IP address.
Okay.
You can see there's a huge amount of traffic coming from a single IP address. Why is that happening? Try to, like, for that IP address, you can actually go and see. Let's see which ones are the users that are accessing this, right? So I could actually go and what this is doing, this top limit, is basically grouping the logs by whatever I'm typing next. So I'm gonna type the username.
Okay.
And the top limit, the 0, means give me everything. Don't limit it. All right. So now we can see that the vast majority of the requests are being done by this username, for example. So that's a takeaway from that. The next one will be the what user agent was used to make the connection. So let's get the user agent. So there's some things to decipher here. So what is this? It's giving you, it seems, the API.
Yeah, you have answered my question, but like, yeah, this is something yet to be explored, I guess.
Yeah, so this is something to digest as well. So what I said, the where, what, this is the what, the how, so event type, that will be the how.
Okay.
And they're all through the API. And then when, event time. You can see all the times here. 20 per page. Again, I can limit the amount of groups, and I'll get top 10 now. Pretty easy to use. So I would try to get familiar with Splunk. This is why I insisted in installing Splunk rather than just looking at the data through Python SageMaker, in SageMaker. So take a look at the data in Splunk, try to digest it, explore it there, and then we can actually go into the exploration once we have the important columns. We can have more structure exploration in Python.
Okay. Armando, I have one more follow-up question. Like, you have extracted the data set out of this bots V3, and that CSV, yeah, you have even uploaded it in the Discord, I believe. So when we have that, and we are gonna use that data set in the Amazon AWS SageMaker, so why do we need Splunk anymore? Like, if you have shared that data set with all the teams, all the participants, they don't need Splunk anymore, right? They can start uploading that document and working on AWS. Am I correct, or?
Yes, if you decide to go all in into Python and disregard after the first step of doing your exploration and cleaning with Splunk, once you have the data file, you can choose to disregard Splunk. But I just wanted to highlight, especially for the people that are being introduced to programming, that there's no need to be scared by programming concepts when you're exploring the data. You can get pretty much some decent findings without going into certain Python. And then once you get familiarized with it and you're ready to make the jump into Python, which you will eventually need to do, you can disregard this Splunk.
Yeah, eventually, because we cannot build a model in Splunk, but this is a great tool for exploration of data. Yeah.
Yep.
And I want to kind of build on the discussion you guys were having and emphasize that especially for those of you who don't have a programming background yet, haha. What we're essentially doing, what Armando is urging us to do, is to see the forest and not the trees right now, right? Because the purpose of us kind of delving into this platform, right, which is proprietary, and kind of understanding what exactly this tool that is here is doing, is for us to, as data people, right, because that's the perspective that we're coming from, we're trying to understand whether we can use the information that Splunk is returning for us to detect whether a login is an anomaly, right? And specifically within the cybersecurity context, is whether the login relates to an attack, as Samrat was saying. That's why we're looking at some specific columns, and and quite honestly, even for me, it's a little overwhelming. I think I saw that there were like 300 fields there. But part of our job as data scientists is for us to kind of be able to think, well, what would be the information that would speak most to the problem that we're trying to solve, and then how can we leverage the tools that data scientists use in order to try and solve that problem. So as Armando said, our advisor, our professor, was actually able to identify the attacks with his knowledge, with his experience. But the data science goal is to be able to do a similar thing using some kind of machine learning, artificial intelligence model. This is the point. This is the point. And this high level discussion that we're having is absolutely necessary for us together. That's why those roles were created for each of these teams, because somebody does need to be able to look at the high level and even look at it from a psychological perspective, and ask themselves, well, if you're hacking a server, right, what is it that differentiates that from a normal login? What is that question? What is the answer to that question existentially? So I really appreciate you fleshing that out, Armando. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and the main idea behind also having Splunk is, maybe we disregard it at first, but then maybe you see that we're missing some data that was in another source type, right? So for example, let's list the number of source type there is out there. As I showed in the beginning, there's actually a source type with the hardware in it. I don't know when we might have that, when we would think that would be useful for us, but something like the CloudWatch logs, if we decide to jump from AWS to another source, which I don't think will happen, we can also get data from Cisco, get data from So we have plenty of data sources. We also have AWS RDS audit. But I don't want to so there's plenty of stuff to look for. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but again, focus on the CloudTrail for now. Let's try to get some interested findings from there, and then if we can get some model working by the end of this month or the next one, we can try to look into more source types in the future.
Thank you, Armando. So the last thing that we're going to cover is kind of this Python environment through Amazon Sagemaker, which is an AWS instance, and the workflow that we would do how do we use Python inside this environment, right? And what's the purpose? Why would we do this? This is an AWS sponsored competition, so that is one of the answers to those questions. But Samrat is going to go ahead and go over some of the specifics for us. Are you ready, Samrat?
Yes, I am ready. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank
Oh,
you.
cool. Hi guys. I've got 15 minutes left. Just let me know if I'm exceeding my time limit. But yeah, I think this time should be sufficient. Let me share my screen. Uh, just can you guys raise a hand like who all are familiar with AWS? And anybody? Or okay, there are like yeah, couple of people. Yeah, good. So you guys can help me if I go wrong somewhere. So just go to this website for all new guys, like not right now, but I'm just telling you like this is the website to go where all AWS, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Amazon offers some bunch of web services. For each service has got a different purpose. You guys can go ahead and create an account here. Once you have an account, you guys can log in here. So this is IAM user. You guys remember, right? In Armando, while running the search query, he asked for IAM user. Like basically, we are all IAM users. IAM stands for Identity Access Management. Like just imagine I'm working. I have a team, and I'm the admin of the team. I will be the admin, and rest all of them will be the IAM users. IAM user is I can assign them identity. Based on their identity I can access, like I can give them, grant them access. Some files they can just view, some files they can just write, overwrite, that sort of thing. Yeah, that is IAM user. So and admin is also an admin can also be have two roles, like he's admin and the IAM user at the same time. So I'm just signing in here. So this is AWS Management Console. Yeah. So why do we need, first of all, AWS? How did AWS came into the picture? After from Splunk, we have extracted some data set, and that data set we need to build a machine learning model here in AWS, and that machine learning model will automatically detect the threat when some certain it will learn, like we are providing that machine learning model with the data set. It will learn from that data and it can automatically detect the threat whenever it happens. And I'm gonna, for whoever is new to AWS, this may sound little overwhelming, lots of new terms and lots of new services, but believe me, this is not complicated. Like this just needs couple of weeks of weeks of practice. I'm very new in Python programming or AWS, all this stuff myself. I'm just 2-3 months into it, that's all, nothing more. So AWS SageMaker. AWS, these are the services offered by AWS. You guys can see it here. See, there are a bunch of services, like you name it, they have it, like service for everything, like for computing, like these are the subcategories. Machine learning, under machine learning, you guys can see Amazon SageMaker. So what I'm trying to tell is, like for storage, there is S3. These are some very popular services because web service, it means like we don't need to buy any heavy high computational hardware. Our laptop cannot process lots of complicated complex neural networks or machine learning models. So the computing power is in the cloud offered by Amazon for some price. We are using that service in the cloud. That's why this is called web service. So EC2 is one such. EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Computing. What it obviously it is cloud computing because it is hosted on some remote server. It's not our personal laptop. Why is it called Elastic? Because it is scalable. If your model needs if your model is a small model and needs less computational power, it will charge you accordingly. If your model is a huge one, medium one, and it needs a lot of computational power, it'll on the go, it'll scale up. Amazon will take care of the computation and everything, and you will be charged accordingly. Same with the storage. You can store your data in the S3 service. S3 stands for, S3 is just three S's, simple storage service. So you can just dump data there. So these are many of the services. I'm not nobody would know all of them. We will just deal with what we concerned with, mostly with Amazon SageMaker, S3, and EC2. Yeah, that's it. Nothing more. So yeah, don't get like worried with all these new names. Yeah. So what does SageMaker do? SageMaker basically does data pre-processing before we feed the data set to the model. It needs to be processed, right? It needs to be structured. We may get unstructured data, and kind of what we did in Splunk. Yeah, this is data processing phase. Sometimes null values in the data needs to be replaced with zero or mean, and all that we can discuss in detail later on. After that, there are machine learning. Sounds complicated, but it's not that complicated, because Amazon have got already all the algorithms and frameworks are just there. You just have to select from the drop down. You just have to select from the options. That's it, nothing much. Machine learning is both hard and simple. I'll tell you why. It is simple because you don't have to write a lot of code. Everything is already there. You just have to select. However, it is hard. It is hard because based on the data and based on the what we are trying to predict or achieve, you should know which algorithm works for what kind of data the best. That's the hard part. Otherwise, you're good. Yeah, once the data is fed to the algorithm, machine learning model is built, and you may train and tune the model. Tuning and model I'll go later in detail later. And integration and deployment. Once the model is ready and tested, you can work it. Deployment is the real time thing. You can just feed it the real time data, and we can see the accuracy, how it's working and all. Okay. Yeah, let me go and walk you through. I'll just take some 5 to 10 minutes walking through how does AWS SageMaker functions. Yeah, before even telling you guys that, I would like to show you guys about the infrastructure. How Amazon is doing all this. How is it even providing us this huge, this reliable service? Okay, let's go here. Just click this. You guys can see it, right? These are all various Amazon regions, availability zones, local zones, points of presence present all over the globe. So these are the various data centers. Where are we getting our computational power from? Like there must be some physical location, right? These are the physical locations. This is where Amazon hosts huge high power storage servers, computational servers, everything. You guys can you guys see there is one here in Florida, Jacksonville as well. See this one, and the color coding includes what is the role of that thing, region. Just this is a very interactive thing. You guys can try it later. This is the, you guys just remember this URL, infrastructure.aws. Just click on regions. You will get to know what regions would do. It is listed here. Okay. Region is the higher level. Inside region there are some availability zones, and there are which are blue, which are marked in blue color. There are some data centers and local zones. So what happens when we hire some Amazon AWS web service? Like it can be SageMaker, it can be storage or something. What usually happens is we have an option to select which server we can host our thing. See, this is my personal thing, my console, and I can choose which area, which region my service or my data should be hosted. There are various reasons for giving these many options for the users. Some of the reasons can be like, first of all, pricing is different based on the countries and taxes. Pricing in USA may not be same as pricing in Europe or pricing in India. Sometimes I may have developed some website where all my users are in India. So I would prefer this Mumbai data center and store my model and data there, because it's faster to access for it will be available for my users quicker that way. There's no point for me hosting somewhere in Stockholm or anywhere else. That is one reason. And wherever I select, Amazon in turn saves our data in some other backup location, because it may happen like like wildfires. California has got wildfires, or some Florida has got hurricane, tornado, and the data center is totally gone. And your data, or some major businesses like NASA is also takes advantage of AWS. If one data center is damaged, NASA can't stop its operations, right? So as a backup, somewhere in the different physical location, all of that data is stored by Amazon in some other place also. So yeah, this is one brief overview of the services we are getting from AWS and the infrastructure, backend infrastructure, how they are maintaining it. Yeah. Now let me move ahead with some other thing. So I wanted to show yeah. Before you guys sign up for the AWS console, there is Slack. Slack is offering, once you sign up for this AWS Mars competition, you will get $200 free credit. Otherwise, there is another way. AWS free tier. Just Google AWS free tier, and you will be directed to this website. Once you create the free account, all the services are some of the services are free for 12 months. You can practice whatever you want there, and some of the services are forever free. So yeah, even like computational power, like Amazon EC2 is a service, right? I've just explained, like 750 hours per month. It's totally free of cost for 12 months. Amazon S3, 5 GB of standard storage, that's free for 12 months, and 5 GB is good enough. Like data files, they don't take much space, and like if you're working on some project, it's highly impossible like you exceed 5 GB. If you have to run multiple models, and if you're just running out of space, you can delete some unused files and yeah, reuse it. So yeah, they are offering so many services, and the list goes on. I cannot cover all of them due to the time constraint. Otherwise, AWS SageMaker is also free, 250 hours of SageMaker per month. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know before you start opening accounts. Yeah, let's move on here. So now, and billing, you guys can set limit, like in your while you enter credit card detail. Billing, you just for you, sometimes if you don't set a upper limit, like I usually put monthly or something, that will save me from if my model is running in the background, it may bill me more, right? Okay. So whichever service you find, there are two ways you can access the services. One is this way. This is definitely so confusing. You cannot remember or look for that here. You can just search it here, or you can just search it directly here. SageMaker. Yeah, I'll just click on the SageMaker. Yeah, this is the home page of SageMaker service. So how it works, some brief description you guys can go through. Label, like data is labeled, and later on it based on some algorithm, we can build the model and train the model, tune the hyperparameters, deploy. Yeah, everything can be done in one place. So let me go to the dashboard. Let me create a notebook instance. So there are no notebook instances. Once I create, it will show up here. I'm going to go ahead and create a notebook instance. So just give it some name. I'm going to give USF DS as of now. And this is the instance type. Just select the default ones. Selecting the default ones is safe. It is usually the low cost ones are already selected by Amazon for you. This doesn't cost much. And just after the demo, I'm going to delete this anyway. So if you're sure, there is documentation of which instant type does what in the Amazon. You guys can go through, and if your model needs a particular large instant, you can go for that thing. And the bill for that, you're gonna build that. Okay. As of now, I'm leaving everything just normal as it is. Nothing like you can link Git repositories, all these things. I'm just doing nothing and just created a new notebook instant, and it's going to take a couple of seconds, like a minute or something. It is being created. Let's view details. Yeah, it's being created. So meanwhile, I would like to show you guys algorithms in the training, find algorithms. You can also create your own algorithm, but almost believe me, like there's algorithm for everything already listed. You don't have to create any algorithm whatsoever. You just have to know which algorithm to use to achieve whatever you guys want to predict. And it is better. It is always good to know which algorithm does what in the backend. So yeah, these are many algorithms. I'll just go back. I'll check if the instant is created or not. It's still pending. Just give me a minute because I want to show something once it is created. So training jobs, hyperparameter tuning, everything can be done here. Let me refresh. Yeah, meanwhile we can do some questionnaires, like it is 7 o'clock.
Valentina had a question.
Yeah, who one, give me a second.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Yeah.
I just had a quick question. So I have an AWS account already, but it's using like the root user email sort of account. So do I need to like create another account that like I'll need to log in through IAM user? Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think you have to make another one. If you're a root user, you're also IAM user. So you just have to, I think you have to find the credential for the IAM user, uh, and and I think I'm sure root user can do everything, and IAM users may or may not do some things. You get it right? As a root user, you can do, but try creating one notebook instant or something. If it is throwing some error, you may try becoming IAM user, because I remember creating both. I am a root user as well, and IAM user. Like I think if you create when you create one thing, the other creates by default. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll look into it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, remember that you can look at the Discord. You can text through there if you have any issues afterwards
Yeah.
to answer your questions.
So it shouldn't take, like, it's almost instantaneous, but yeah, if it is
Try
taking
refreshing it.
yeah, it's
There it is.
yeah, it's created. So it may take 1 minute, but this is a lot is happening in the backend. That's why it's taking 1 minute, and it's almost instantaneous. You can literally launch a website in a couple of minutes using AWS. That's the thing. So I have, this is familiar, right? For whoever is using Python, like they're all familiar with Jupyter notebooks. So that's how I've created one instant and created Open Jupyter. So there are, you can upload data here. You can upload based on the, there are a couple of frameworks here. So some models work on, they demand, they need some sort of particular specific framework. Some models would run on that only. Those would use TensorFlow, Spark, PySpark, PyTorch. Yeah, there are many of them. You don't have to worry all of that now. So there are some examples even. They're just, there are many examples. I'll just go through one example quickly. See, image classification. Image classification, it is self-explanatory. What this model does is, if you feed this model with a image, it will tell if there is some, based on the model. Some image classifications models are built to classify vehicles. Some are built to, in all autonomous cars. This is the model which they deploy in autonomous cars. Like is there a vehicle object detection and all. Let's go ahead and try one. Save as copy. Yeah, nothing. These are all samples given to you. You can create a copy and tweak, and everything is done. Till deployment, you don't have to code anything. Just see, everything is here. I just have to run it, and with description. This is a great way to learn how machine learning works. The introduction is given, prerequisites, everything, code is set. You just have to run it. Data preparation. This is the chunk of code which does the data preparation. You can go through like S3. See, like S3 is the service, storage service. Data is stored there, and this bunch is accessing data from that S3, and it is also outputted to S3. So training, key, validation, these sound familiar with, for someone with a machine learning background. I will take a in-depth class maybe during next workshop, but right now, yeah, I'm just going quickly, okay? Once you have processed the data and fed it, this is the training parameters. You have to train the model before it can start working for you. So here, training is going on. You don't have to understand all of it. Even I don't understand any of it. I'm just telling you how to use it. That's all. And there are many tutorials online available. So AWS training is a website where you can go in depth and learn all of this. Okay. So deploying the model is the thing where once the model is ready, you can deploy it. Then it will start working for in real time. So this is the real interface, endpoint configuration. Yeah, this is all Greek given to me. I have to go through all this. Download test image. So yeah. So end of it, sometimes this particular thing, this is an optional thing. So end of creating any model, and you just don't leave it running in the Sagemaker. You guys remember and delete the thing. Otherwise, you're gonna build continuously. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not running it. I could run it, but it'll take some time, and it'll take a lot of time. So I'm not running it. So I'm just closing it and going back. So running this instant, I've just copied it. So it is running. I can shut it down here. Yeah, now no notebooks are running. Files. Yeah, that's it. I can delete this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll even
Thank you, Samrat, for that
yeah.
excellent introduction to AWS compute resources. And I think you gave a really you touch on all the important points in terms of how do we work with this compute resource, especially
Exactly.
within the context of data science, which is what we're interested right now. But yeah, to Samrat's point, It's just a Jupyter notebook, right? Many of us have seen those before. It's just that we're running it on AWS, and I believe you can even run R. That's certainly good for me because I prefer it. But yeah, this is the big takeaway from this is that we'll be using AWS resources to run Python. That's all it is. But the rest of the feature engineering and the question that we're trying to answer, that still stays the same. This is just kind of the Amazon layer that we're going to be working with to tackle this. So thank you, Samrat. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Even I am learning with you all guys. Yeah, I've exceeded like some 10 minutes. I'm sorry for that.
Well, I put 7:15 on the invite thing. So
Oh, cool.
Hey, Anders, do you mind if I share one thing really quick?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So I just actually had to use AWS for a personal project about a week ago, and right now they're offering a 12-month free trial with billing tiers like tracked for you. So if you sign up now, you'll get it free for 12 months with certain limitations, basically for all the services, and they'll even track and send you notifications if you bypass those limitations. So it's pretty worth it right now.
Yeah, so they're offering a lot of incentives for people to just learn their platform, and I think I don't only speak. I think a lot of people would agree that AWS skills, just knowing about AWS, it's kind of in demand right now. So I'm really glad that thank you. Yeah, Saman's shaking his head. Yes. So I think it's really good that we at least know how these things work, and we're actually going to be able to work with it with the data set that we're. Okay, so we have 5 minutes left. I know that this was a pretty in-depth, very technical session. So I want to raise it up for questions. And we'll be here for a little bit. So if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and speak into the mic or into the chat. I know that for some it's not open, so speaking into the mic is probably better. But now is the time. For questions. Remember that next meeting, a team will be selected to present their findings. So we're going to go ahead and publish the data set on Canvas and Discord, and basically we're going to say, have at it. Try looking at the columns. Try formulating ways or approaches to answer the research question, which is how do we detect an anomaly with these logins, and then we're going to have a team present their findings next week, as if it was kind of like a data science finding meeting. So yeah, now is the time for questions. Any questions? Anyone?
I just had 2 quick questions. I believe they're for Armando. Number one, I think someone already asked this, but I'm having trouble finding it. That presentation you showed at the beginning, I'd like to look at it again because I haven't had a chance to look through the Splunk API or its query language. So good review with that would be very helpful. And then number 2 would just be, do you think there's any other better resource besides the documentation for Splunk for learning the query, or is it the documentation is the best resource?
So good question. The presentation, Tatiana just sent it again in the Discord, and it's pinned in the chat so you can see it. For the resources, I haven't found an actually good resource apart from the documentation. You know, it's mostly about being curious and trying different things in the query and trying to Google, like, how can I do this? How can I do that? But I will try to find any resources for you, and I'll let you know if I find any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Any other questions? About anything we discussed?
And by the way, I'll be available tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. To answer questions about Splunk and troubleshoot any installation problems you might have. I'm gonna create a Discord channel just for that. And if we need to go over your installation, we can schedule a Teams call.
Thank you, Armando.
I just want to say both of those presentations were pretty awesome. So thank you, Sama and Armando, for that. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A quick question for you guys. I know kind of annoying with the meeting thing. So I went ahead and sent Zoe. I think she got back to me. So thank you for that about being on a team. And also I have a person that would like to be on a team. So do they need to be part of Data Science Club, or can they be on the Mars Hackathon team like on their own, or how does that go?
So the idea of kind of merging the organization with the team is to kind of, the organization helps give context as to approaching the problem. Now, if you're working on a team and they're not, that would be a little, okay, yeah, that would be, I think, a little weird. So Armando, can you go ahead and, what do you think about that?
Right, they should be part of the Science Club, right?
I'm sorry?
I was just saying, like, it kind of makes sense, like you were saying, and there's like they would want to be involved with the club and then
Right.
be involved with the hackathon, you know?
Sure. And there's no barrier to entry. Well, there is a barrier to entry, which is like learning everything. But
Right.
besides that, anybody can join.
Anyone's
Anybody is more. Yeah, anyone's welcome. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. We went to some hackathons, and he's really good at AWS. And I was like, hey, this club is doing something with AWS and stuff, and so he got
Awesome.
kind of interested. So I'll throw him in the group chat, and then we can guide him.
We appreciate that, Eamon. Yes.
Cool.
Spread the word. Spread the word.
Cool.
That'd be great. And yeah, it would be ideal for him to be in the group if he were to join a team from within.
Right. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Any other questions before we leave for the? Actually, we're a minute over, so I guess there are no questions. Okay. So. Yes.
Actually,
Somebody's.
Yeah, it's Aladdin. So for the AWS competition role, just to be on the same page, is there like a specific like topic that we need to focus on exactly, or how is that going to work? Like, is there like a topic that we need to focus on?
So it's, as Armando said, go ahead and focus on the columns that we covered that he covered in the presentation. And that's going to be on the recording. Remember, so, and I feel your pain when you ask that question, because unlike a class where you're just given the columns and you're told what they mean, and you're just told do some statistics with the data that you have, we have to do that work. We have to do the work of interpreting what information is relevant for answering the question that we're trying to answer. But you can certainly, I encourage you to go to the office hours, which will be set up within the week, and collaborate with your team to help see what information from that data set would be what we focus on, and we will be posting that data set within the next day or so. Armando, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I believe he said it in a video where Clinton specifically goes over the goals and some techniques when analyzing cybersecurity data. So once he has that ready, he'll release it for you guys to see, and you probably will have a better understanding of what we're trying to look for. But I think the biggest takeaway from the first half of the meeting today is that focus on they sound like cliches, but focus on the where, the what, the how, and when. Where the connection came from, what was used to make the connection, how the connection was made, and when did the connection take place. Focus on that. All the fields that can answer those questions, collect them, and explore them.
Nice. Austin, I believe you had a question.
Yeah, I'm not in the Discord yet, and I was just wondering if I could get the invite link emailed to me or something like that.
Yep, I will DM you right now.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
This is Samrat. I would like to add a point for all of us. May I?
Yes, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know before planning on the project, like keep these 5 points in the consideration, because I don't want someone building halfway through they realize these are the criteria for evaluation. This is from the official AWS Mars mission to Mars website, and this is how they're gonna judge. Your model may be doing great, it may be like so good, it may have business, it may do some business, but that's not the point. For winning this competition, they are gonna judge on these points, and these are the distribution, use of technology, use of any AWS technology relevant, like that's 10 points right there. Social impact, if your model is helping somewhere, that's 10 points. Inclusivity, yeah, just go through these 5 points. And I don't know how we are gonna achieve inclusivity, because it says uh, intention of including people who are handicapped, learning disabled, and racial or sexual minorities. I don't know how what we're trying to do is that's going to achieve, because there are good number of points here, 10 points for that. And scalability, obviously our solution can be scaled, that is no problem. And design is 5 points. So just you guys have to remember these, consider these factors, and build on these lines. Yeah.
Thank you, Samrat.
Okay.
So any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, so if there isn't anything else, I think we're going to call it an evening. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.